Okay,
Uh,
we're ready.
the colonel,
We've lost the
colonel's not
colonel.
experimenting too much.
Yeah, he's
Did y'all
experimenting.
lose the colonel too?
We lost the colonel, but he'll be back.
That's what happens when you experiment.
Okay, I guess he's gonna come in on his computer now.
I'm back.
Okay, James, you want to get started?
Okay, I'll get started. And you on Facebook already? I don't
Yes,
see
we are. We're on Facebook.
you. Okay, good afternoon, everybody, or good evening, everybody, and welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talk, the evening edition. And we're here, and I hope everybody is safe and going to weather this storm as we go up. Leah, I thought you went out there for a
I
minute.
did go out for a minute as well.
Everybody's safe and going to weather this storm. I think we'll be okay. And we are here, and of course, I'm James Slim Overton with the host, Leah Drake Stiff and Thomas the Colonel Chapman. And we're here this evening, continuing our evening shows, and we have a special guest with us today. You know, not too long ago, we had Emery Fields, legendary Norcom band director. And now we have another, well, I can call you a legendary band director at
Yes, she
Norcom
is.
because you were there at Norcom and did some wonderful things and made a little bit of history while you were there. So our special guest tonight is Juliet Gainey Boykins. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How's everybody?
Everybody's
We're
fine,
doing
Juliet. It's so
great.
good seeing you.
Good seeing
Yes,
you all too.
and presently she's the band of directors at Elizabeth City State University, an HBCU that we all compete against or have competed against. Norfolk State backed out. They ran to another conference for some reason. I don't know about that. But anyway, we'll say that for another show. But anyway, I'll start this off. I saw a video of you on talking with some fellow band directors, and you told a story about how you got interested in the band and playing the clarinet. You had like three choices.
Right.
You were young, and two of them were eliminated right away. So tell us about that story, and that'll be the intro of how you got into what you're doing today.
Well, I was in 7th grade. I went to Harry Hunt Harry Hunt Middle School. Was it junior high then? I think
Junior high then.
I think it was junior high then. So we had three choices. You could do home economics, choir, or band. I don't want to cook. Didn't want to learn to cook, and I didn't want to sing. So I decided to go to band. And band, they had all these instruments. Clarinet just looked like the most challenging, so I chose that one because I'm very competitive. And then I just ended up being good at it because I wanted to stay in first chair. It wasn't really about being good at it at first. I just wanted to compete and be in first. So that's all I kept doing. And then I just got really good at it and enjoyed it. And as the years went on, Mr. Carver, I'm pretty sure, do you all know James Carver?
James Carver. James, yes.
He was my band director at Wilson, and he gave me all these duties of, I felt like I was the other band director. So that started my interest.
Great job.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yes.
And you never look back.
Never look back.
Far as, and you played and you started out playing the clarinet, was it?
Yes, clarinet.
And that's interesting. That's what Emery Field started on, clarinet.
Correct.
So it must be the clarinet.
I remember when he recruited me. I still remember when he came to our school. I only played a few notes and he was like, okay, I want you. But I wasn't going there at first. I really wanted to go to Howard, but Mr. Carver was like, no, they have too many crimes outside the female freshman dorm. So my parents listened to him before they made a decision for me. No, I can't go to Howard. So we went to Norfolk State, and I went there to play basketball. But you couldn't be a basketball player. I couldn't be a band director. I couldn't major in music.
I didn't realize you were a basketball player as well.
Oh yeah, when y'all say that my daughter do a lot of stuff, I realize the similarities. As she get older, I start realizing all the similarities we have. Yeah, I was basketball, track, and band.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, I knew she was basketball. I can, another star can recognize another star.
Oh,
You know,
there he goes again. There he goes again.
Yeah,
we can see each other from a long distance.
Yeah.
But anyway, and Juliet, you did that, and you had some careers before you got to Norcom. You did some things. Well, you had some careers before you got to Norcom, related to band director. So tell us about that.
Before I came to Norcom, I was a high school band. I started out as a high school band director at Hertford County High School. I was there 3 years, and then when I got engaged, I didn't want to drive an hour while I was trying to plan my wedding, because I just thought about all these other things I wanted to do. I wanted to plan a wedding, wanted to have kids, so I was like, I don't want to be an hour away and do all of that. And my husband wasn't trying to move that way, so I resigned and went to Waters for a year. Just that was my in-between station. I was the choir director at Waters. Then I went.
Wait, excuse me, back up. You were the what?
Choir director, course director.
Okay.
Then I went to Rosemont Middle School, and I was there for, I think, 5 years or 6 years. I stayed there until I had both of my kids, and then Norcom job became available, and I resigned there and went to Norcom.
Now, basketball, track, choir director, band director. Now, going back to Maria, we can see because same qualities. It wasn't nothing she wouldn't tackle.
Exactly.
You know, from dancing to band, drum major.
Yeah,
To
I was drum major as well.
Right, basketball and softball at IC Norcom. And
yeah, I was a drum major at Wilson.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
So some amazing connections.
So after,
Where's Slim?
who?
Where James?
Well, I was going to say, let's talk about your Norcom career. Let's talk about your Norcom career, and that's kind of when I first met you, and because I was already going to the games, and I know they had that little period. I don't know before you where we had a band director that didn't want to play the Norcom Rock, and with all the alumni that are in the city of Portsmouth and around the world, I don't know why what he was thinking. But I don't know how long ago, how before that was, before you got there. But I think when you got there, the Norcom Rock was, it wasn't an issue as far as playing that.
I did Norcom 2 different times. So the first time I was there, they were already playing Norcom Rock. I was there from 04 to 08. So during that time, they used to play Norcom Rock before I got there, and they continued to play it when I got there. Then I left for 2 years because I had this great idea. I wanted to be a principal, but I wasn't my thing. So I went down to elementary school, and then I called Miss Brawley one day and said, I want my job back. And so I came back to the high school in 2010. And when I got back, I think that was something I heard, that they didn't play Norcom Rock anymore. So I was like, well, you got to play it for touchdowns, and everybody loves Norcom Rock. You got to play it for homecoming. So we brought Norcom Rock back. So it did disappear between, I think it was 08 to 10, somewhere around there. It disappeared, or it didn't get played as much, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even you coming from Woodrow Wilson knew the significance of the Norcom Rock. And for those that are watching that don't know, it's just a tradition that goes all the way back to Emory Fields, who we had, who composed that for the school. It's just been a tradition. Not to play it every chance you get was something, was an insult to the alumni and everything like that. So I'm glad you sort of brought that back. And I'll say this one thing for the other hosts get in. When I was going to the games and watching the games, and I would also watch the band, I noticed the enthusiasm of the band members during your tenure. Because it was something about the way you associated with them, the way you connected with them, even the videos that would be on Facebook with you going a little crazy and doing some of their dances. And I know some of those times you had to go home and get shoulder rubs and things like that, because you would go in, but they appreciated it. They respected that, and they went all out for you, and it showed on the field, and then in the competitions you all were involved in, and the numerous trophies. I know it was some there when you got there, but it was a lot more that came after you were there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Juliet, because if I'm not mistaken, I think you either had 36 or 46 national grand championships with your band.
It may have been a little more than that because we would I know we won twice. I don't remember how many times we went there, but I know I always had a goal to come back with no less than 20 trophies.
Mm-hmm.
Because at nationals you can get a trophy for everything. And my students used to laugh because I wouldn't touch anything that was a second place trophy. I said we didn't win, so I didn't want to touch it. I wouldn't touch it. So because I told them they can't get used to losing. So that was the mindset they had. Now, sometimes I was really proud of them when we get second because we work hard for that second place. Like when we went to California, we came in second to a band that was 3 times our size, but they only beat us by a 0.5 points.
Oh, wow.
So I was really proud of that. I mean, my tuba players, I had 7 tuba players at the time, and the other band had 22. And we held our own. We held our own. We were playing, couldn't tell the difference. Sheila E came up to us and was telling them how good they sound because she said she couldn't tell the difference between the 2 bands. And she said it was just really, really hard.
And the tuba section, especially in college, are huge nowadays.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
That's a big part of the band, you know. Anyway, and I'll mention this too, but everybody's seen it by now. You are a member of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated. So so I think just wanted to mention that. But for those who might be looking away and don't see that.
No, they can't look away. They love to see it.
Yeah, they can't avoid it. One more thing about Norcom now, it was another incident that happened that upset alumni and band members and students alike when you abruptly left. It was some sort of internal conflict you had. Do you want to talk about that for the
sure
people
do.
that don't know what that?
So I was there, and ever since I've been there, we had 4th block. I had 4th block planning. And the reason for having 4th block planning was so I could get a little break between teaching and actually having after school. Because now after school hours were supposed to have been 2:30 to 4:30. However, I didn't start practice at 2:30. From 2:30 to 3:45, sometimes 4 o'clock. I allowed my students, we had straight study halls. There was no talking. It was quiet in there. And during that study hall, I also had some students that were in another room that wanted to host Bible study twice a week. And I allowed that. And so I wasn't going to interrupt that by saying, I'm going to start right at 2:30 so I can get home early. So parents agreed that we probably weren't going to have a bus or whatever. So anyway, getting back to that, they took my 4th block away and gave me a class. And I said, I'm not teaching it because my first year there, the schedule was like that. And it was so much that I had 7 mini strokes. And I wore a heart monitor for 3 months. And then they found some stuff in there. And then I had to go back and wear it again for 6 months. That's a long time to wear a heart monitor just so they can figure out what was going on. So I told them I'm not doing that. I said, my health said I'm not doing it. And if I have to resign, I will. So they waited. Band camp had started and I still didn't have a schedule. So I figured that they were waiting for me to complete the show. So if I quit and they need to put somebody else in there, they could. So I wouldn't complete the show. We played the Star Spangled Banner. I didn't give them any of the music for the show, but I also knew my band. I knew what kind of band I had. I knew that the way that I had things set up, if I gave them music the week of the show, we would get it. So I didn't teach anything other than the Star Spangled Banner and how to march. So I got an email the week of that Monday before the first game. And I it's pitiful they waited that long, but I got an email the Monday before the first game saying that we're unable to approve your schedule to have 4th block planning. And I already had an email ready to send that all I had to do was press send. So in this email, I had all of the city council, all of the school board, the mayor, the city manager. Don't ask me why the city manager. I didn't even know who that was. I had all of the principals in Portsmouth, all of the alumni association who members I had, and I sent that. I went right back to my computer. I told Ben, we're going back inside. I am no longer your band director because as of right now, I resigned. They was like, what? I said, and I told them the reason why I resigned. I said, it's nothing against you all, but I will not come here every day and teach all day long and then have a fourth block. Don't get a chance to get my mind right for band practice, have band practice, and then allow you all, oh, because I didn't put people out the band room. So if they stayed until 9 o'clock, I stayed there too. I only live 7 minutes away. So if they want, as long as they wanted to play, I allowed them to play because some kids can't practice at home. So I allowed that to happen. I brought them back in. I told them that I resigned and the band went crazy. And I just went right in my car. I didn't wait for anybody to leave. I went to the main office and put my keys in the principal's mailbox and I left. I didn't want to keep the keys. I didn't want them to have to come. By the way, I had already started moving my stuff out all week because I knew that they weren't going to approve it. I had a sense that they weren't going to approve it. So I went home. I enjoyed being home. I stayed home. The next morning, I didn't look at social media. I didn't turn my phone on. I turned my phone off when I got home so nobody could call me. When I got up the next morning to turn my phone on, the first person to call me, well, I had a message first, was from the mayor. And the message was like at, the mayor then was Kenny Wright. The message was like at 4 o'clock that morning. So I said, well, let me call him back. I called back. He said, Juliet, my dear, please tell me that you wanted a bathroom put in your office, a bathroom put in the middle of the bedroom. He named all this crazy stuff. I said, no, I just wanted my schedule changed back to its original form. And he said, that's it. I said, that's all I asked for. He said, you'll have your job back by 12. I was like, we shall see. And so I hung up and then I went to my email. I clicked on my email and I had over 1,200 emails. And I was like, what is going on? Then I looked at the internet. I had all these things at the internet. I'm sorry, the wind is blowing real hard over here. I had all these things on the internet. And so I couldn't believe that neither. I don't know how many messages I had on the internet, but every year they all come back up. So I stood there. I was telling my husband what was going on. And he was just like, well, you know, we got enough money for you to stay off work for at least a year. After that, baby, you had to find a job. so I said, okay. I said, I might, Kenny Wright said, I'm gonna have my job back. Let's just wait. So at 11:30, and I remember all of this because that's how it went. At 11:30, I got a phone call from the principal saying, girl, what you doing with these kids? I said, excuse me, hello, I don't know who this is. And they said, oh, well, why you make them kids cry? I said, excuse me, again, I don't know who this is. May I ask who's calling? And they said their name. I'm trying not to say her name.
Yeah.
They said their name. And she was like, well, we're going to change all the kids' schedules. So can you call them back and tell them that, you know, you're going to have 4th block planning? I said, no, until I see it on my end, I ain't coming nowhere. They said, well, we need you to have practice today because they told me that you got to have practice today. I said, why did they tell you I have to have practice today? They said, because they said that you need to be back in the building today. I said, yeah, I'm not coming back in the building today because I don't see it on my end. She said, well, it's going to take a couple of days. I said, then I'll take a couple of days to come in. I said, but I will call everyone once it's on the schedule. So within the hour, it was back on the schedule. And I still didn't call everybody. She said, okay, it's back on the schedule. Are you coming back in today? I said, no, I think I'll come in tomorrow. And so I came in the next day and then things went back to normal because do it that one day. Now this happened like on a Monday. So maybe that Tuesday, all the other commotion where they wanted me to come back. It was like really 24 hours, all this stuff happened. And once I got back into, once they got back up, I got all these phone calls saying that kids had withdrew from the class. There are no students in the class. It's like 2 students and they were transfers in. So they don't even know what's going on. And I was like, I don't know what you want me to say. So we got everybody back in the class. I contacted Coach Archie to get everybody back in the class the next day. And then we went on from there.
Well, Juliet, you did a masterful job when you were at Norcom High School. I must say, I was witness to many of your years there at Norcom and also on the road sometimes, because you had how many band members when you were there, Juliet?
Let me see, it varied because, okay, so the first years I was there, when I first got there, it was like, what, 50 something people.
50 something it was.
I hated every minute of that first year though. I wanted to quit. I didn't like it. The alumni ain't like me. I ain't like them either. Sorry, y'all. They were just mean. They were just mean. They didn't understand why they had to hire me. And it was because they never had a female before. So the second year I was like, okay, well, I had Mr. AJ. I don't know if you remember Mr. AJ.
I remember Mr. AJ.
The assistant band director. He kept saying, look, don't let them run you away. You can do this. You know you can do this. Don't let them run you away. You know what kind of musician you are. I was like, okay. So the second year I said, okay, I'm just gonna do my plan. I ain't gonna worry about what they say. So I just went in there the second year, did my plan. We got back up to like, I think we made it to like 80 something people. And we did a competition. We had a very good year that year. Then my band just all of a sudden doubled. I created a general music class. That was one of the things I did. My second year there, I asked could I have a general music class on my schedule so I could have a middle school band because beginning band, because middle school bands, I didn't know what was going on at the time, but a lot of people weren't taking band at all. Right. So I asked could I have that. They allowed me to have that, and that made what I did was I took a bunch of students that didn't play an instrument, weren't interested in playing an instrument. I put them on some mouthpieces when I talked about the mouthpiece to tell them how the mouthpiece worked. Got them to play like ABCs through the mouthpiece just so they can hear that they can make different sounds without an instrument attached. Then that made them curious. Let me see, can I get an instrument attached? So we put an instrument to it. Next thing they know, I bring some students in to just, this was all a scheme. I would bring some students in during their lunch break and say, go in the practice room and practice. If they hear you practicing, they're gonna want to practice too. So they would go in there, they would hear them practicing, and they'd be like, well, how do I play like that? Go in there and sit with them. Go in there and ask them to play. And grew the band to my third year to about 120, and my fourth year we went up to like 158.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And I tell you what, and the amazing thing for me was that you were in Birmingham, Alabama. And I was in Birmingham visiting a friend of mine, and Norcom was playing in the parade. Yeah. And when I went down to the parade, the police officer says, those are such great students. They are well disciplined. And remember when I came over to the hotel and they had some problems with some students in the hotel, and the lady at the desk says, well, I know one group that is not those Norcom students from Portsmouth, Virginia, because she has them totally under control. And you had a system when you were in a hotel, Juliet. Tell me about that system, how you could check where your students were at all times.
Well, I had the best band parents. Band parents didn't think I liked them because I fussed so much, but it wasn't I didn't like them. I just liked stuff a certain way. But I had the best band parents. Band parents put themselves in shifts where if somebody was asleep, it was somebody not asleep. So they had some shifts, and I would ask for a floor. So all of my students would be on the same floor. And we had it was a parent at every stairwell. And we had what we call clear tape on the door so we can tell if the tape had been broken. But parents walked the halls all night long. But if students came to the door and they needed something, all they had to do was come to the door, yell down the hall. It was definitely a parent in the hallway somewhere. And they would get whatever they need. We had snacks for them if they wanted to. So they weren't prisoners. They could open the door and say they needed something and we would get it to them. They just couldn't roam the halls. But we also made sure that they had stuff to do in the hotel. So I don't want people to think they was in the hotel at 7:30 at night. No, I made sure we didn't get back to that hotel to after midnight sometimes because I wanted them to be nice and tired. And especially if we had to get up early the next morning. But yeah, we had very good band parents that kept that on lock for me.
Let me say, your lovely daughter is online listening to you at this
She's right here in my office.
Oh, she's right here in your office. Okay.
You can come say hey.
You're mini me.
Hey.
Hi, how are you, Marie?
Good, how are you?
Who is following in your footsteps? She's following the same trail that you blazed as when you were a student. So that's a blessing as well. Colonel, you were about to say something?
Yeah, you know what, Juliet, it's impressive. And what gets me is I also played clarinet.
Oh, good. Best instrument ever.
Yes. It couldn't do a note if I had to now to save my life. But that's my claim to fame. But what I'd like to point out is the numbers of female minorities that are in your position across this country is probably like nanoscience. And could you speak to that? How you got there?
How I got this job?
Well, that, and then about the underrepresentation of Black females in your position across the country.
Okay.
Just not in
Sorry.
HBCUs, but also at the WPIs.
Yeah, okay, so for HBCUs, there are only 3 female band directors that are head band directors. Now, there are, what I'm finding, okay, so I'm doing a dissertation. My dissertation is investigating career opportunities for female band directors. Now, what I have found out doing my research is that there are a lot of African-American women or women period that are assistant directors. And that's how they get away with saying they're band directors, because we are assistant band directors are also band directors. So, but if you say head band directors, for HBCUs, there are only 3. For PWIs and for including Black, white, or other, as far as female, is less than 20. In the country, is less than 20. But
Yes.
for just HBCUs, it's only 3.
Only 3.
And Julia, I think a lot of that started, early on in a lot of the females that had aspirations of being band directors or going in that direction by people that were around them. Some of you all had people encouraging you, but others had, sort of guiding you in a direction that would not advance you like a male would advance.
Right.
I know you talked a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about that and some of the things that you or some of your other counterparts were told when you mentioned, I think I might want to be a band director.
Okay, so mine wasn't always peachy. Now, Mr. Carver was my biggest fan. Like, I can tell you that anything that I did when I was a high school director, he probably was at every competition that I was. If he wasn't at every, I thought he was, because I saw him so much. Mr. Fears was very supportive, but I'm not going to say everybody at Norfolk State was supportive of me being a band director, because there were some band directors at Norfolk State that told me, Gal, you should be cooking chicken. I didn't even know how to cook chicken, so that was weird.
So you didn't want to.
I didn't know how to cook then.
Juliet, you didn't want to take home economics,
right? And I didn't know how to cook chicken. I didn't know how to cook chicken, so that was weird. I had another to tell me that, if you're gonna be a band director, maybe you should stick to elementary or middle school. But I am very competitive, and that comes from being in sports. So my goal was to prove everybody wrong that thought I couldn't, and just do what I could do and be the best at it as I could. So that was my goal, and I hope that I'm starting to achieve it. I can't say I achieved it yet, because I still got things that I want to do on this level. Then I know that I would have achieved what I wanted to do.
And we have, I know, at least 10 pages of achievements of your band when you were at Norcom High School. Right. And I mean, we truly missed those amazing days at Norcom High School under your direction. And we're praying for the new band director that he can get the band up and running and get things in order there as well. But how are things to be on the college level at Elizabeth City State University?
I am getting used to them. I think they'll be a lot better once I finish this dissertation, though. So I'll have some free time, because right now I have no extra time, despite what everybody thinks. But being on a collegiate level is a little more difficult, especially when you're at a school that a lot of people haven't heard of. So visibility is being my thing. And so I go where I'm comfortable at. I have right now, I got to count. I have about 10 students from Hampton Roads area right now. And when I first got here, I only had 3. And those 3 were here. 2 of them came from Norcom and 1 came from Oscar Smith. And the one from Oscar Smith I got because he said he always wanted to march in Norcom band, but his mom wouldn't transfer him. The 2 from Norcom, I bought my best 2 clarinet players here. And that's how I got them here. It is starting to develop into my program. And when I say my program, the caliber program that I want. Anyone that's listening or that knows me knows that every program I have only runs the way it runs because I treat everybody as a leader. I don't believe in titles. So I don't like the title. We use the titles of section leader because you got to have that title so people know who they are. However, I like for everybody to consider themselves a leader so that the band can run smoothly. So if you're in the clarinet section, I'm the section leader. and the colonel is, you know, a freshman. I want that freshman to help another freshman and show some leadership because he knows a scale. So he needs to help that person, not during our time, but during their own time. That's showing leadership. That's being proactive.
Exactly.
So I encourage my band to do those things. Now, I will give you a title if that's what you want. You the paper picker upper. So every time you see a piece of paper on the floor, then that's the colonel's job to pick that piece of paper up, because now you can't do it better than him. That's his job, and he's responsible for it. He got a title. Kids like entitlement. Kids like to know that their worth matters and their time matters. So giving them some type of title, if that's what I have to do to get them to know that they are already a natural leader, then that's what I do. Because a lot of these kids don't think that they have leadership abilities. So my job is to try to, you know, figure out what they're good at and make sure that they get an opportunity to do it with me so they can see that they are a leader. You're just not a leader in being the clarinet section leader. That's not your calling.
Exactly.
Your calling is picking up the paper and making sure that all the other papers are stacked up nice and neat. So, yeah.
You know, and I hate to jump back and forth, but there was a question I had about Norcom, and I didn't give it to you when we were on the Norcom bit. But there was a photo of a shoe that was worn by a band member with the sole. I mean, the sole had separated from the shoe. Can you tell us the story about that shoe?
So we practice all the time. And so when I was at Norcom, things are different now. I don't do this now because I don't want anybody's feet to be hurting. We used to march in those boots every day. And marching those boots every day, you know you're putting work in if the sole starts to come off. So I think that we were getting ready for homecoming, and that's early for the sole to come off. But I was just showing that somebody been putting some work in. And I think that same picture, it was another picture under there with the some slippers right up under the chair or something.
Yes.
So yeah, I used to joke them and post pictures of them if they had their shoes look like that and they got slippers. I said, oh yeah, I'm doing my job. They got slippers under the chair. So yeah, that was just me picking with the students. But now we don't wear boots now because I have learned being in this doctoral program has made me research a lot of things that I just wouldn't have thought of. So I've learned that students marching in those boots are giving them shin splints, creating knee problems. Probably why I got bad knee problems now, because I wore boots from 8th grade to I graduated college. We wore boots to march in. But marching in those boots on cement created a lot of knee problems for folks. So I went to them now wearing the most comfortable tennis shoes they have. So it's on them what kind of tennis shoes they wear. And I also make sure that they wear only white socks to practice, so the chemicals from the colored socks won't die into their feet or anything. So maybe that's the mother and the old age in me.
How about that? That's mothering you. Colonel?
I think a lot of that.
As you continue your story, if you fast forward, say 5 years from now, what do you want to be in 5 years from now?
5 years from now. This is me really putting this out there now. Okay, so 5 years from now, I would love to be the director of bands and maybe have another title. I guess I don't want to say the title right now, but
why not?
Maybe have another title while I'm here, huh?
Speak it into existence.
I do speak it into existence. A department chair.
Okay.
Is my calling, but I plan to have right now we are 2 departments with 1 department chair. I want us to be 2 departments with 2 department chairs. So that means recruitment in 5 years for here is going to be crazy, because we're going to have a music department with over 150 students. That's my thinking. Right now we're somewhere around 50, so we are combined with another department, the art department. But I think that we'll get it to where we're well over 100 in the music department, and I see me being the department chair and the director of bands here.
So are you currently recruiting students from the Portsmouth school system?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Always.
Are there any prospects from my wonderful IC Norcom High School?
I don't have any yet, but I also don't do an audition there until next week.
Okay.
So I don't know yet.
Okay, all right.
So far I've only been in Newport News, Suffolk, and a couple of schools in Chesapeake. So I'm not finished yet.
Uh-huh.
That's because we're gonna get them all at Union. Now, let me go to the next.
You might just get them.
Yeah, if Faye comes down here, I think we might have a chance. But anyway, the colors.
I love me some Faye. I love Faye.
Yeah.
We talk often.
But the colors are the same, so they don't have to worry about the colors.
He
But
keeps saying the colors are the same, so they don't have to worry about changing their colors should they go to Virginia Union University.
Well,
but they're going to go ahead.
Sometimes they need to experiment and step out of their shell. So if they've always been wearing maroon and gray, I think they need to explore other colors.
I opened that up, so that's on me. That was a good statement. That was a good statement, I have to admit. A true statement. But I want to ask you, Juliet, we've often have a subject, mental health, that we talk about. We bring on Dr. Ernestine Duncan to talk about it. And when we're talking about it, every time we always go back to the college students because of the pressures some of the college students might have, depression, and how mild depression can turn into something even greater, especially on the college level. And then especially if you're also in the band, which is a great demand on your time, but you have to keep up in the classroom as well. And I noticed something you did, and used to put it on Facebook, that you would have these sessions with the students and let them, just let it out, which I always thought was good, because sometimes holding that in, what you're experiencing on college, it's a lot of different things you can go through. College is great. That campus life is great, but it's a whole lot of things. Even in campus, in college, people can be cruel.
Exactly.
And even outside of the cruelty of people, the pressures you might put on yourself, your family at home, putting on you, and then the band. So talk a little bit about your reasoning for having those kind of sessions. And I think it worked well, just seeing students opening up about some things that they probably wouldn't normally open up about, and they walk away from that feeling a little bit better, I would think.
And it's funny you brought that up, because my students just asked me, can we start those back up? So we'll start up this summer doing summer band camp for those. My reason for doing that was because there are a lot of students with parents or relatives or teachers who don't believe that they have real problems. And these students have a lot of real problems. And they think because they're 19, they're 20, that they're not in love, they're not hurting, they don't need the parents' affection, but they still need all that stuff. So I always tell them that I think it's important for them to have someone to talk to. And that show just kind of came about one day with us being funny online, and it just turned into something that ended up being weekly. They're coming to the office, can we get online today? And it was just it was therapeutic for them. And apparently for some of the people that were listening, it was therapeutic for them as well. But my students know that I'm always telling them that mental health is serious. I believe in those, what do you call them, mental health days? But I told them, don't take advantage of me. Because now this is my religious side. I always say, if you take advantage of me, it's karma gonna come back 10 times fold on you, because I'm a child of God, and God don't like for you to use my intelligence for weakness. So I tell them that often. So if they come and say, Ms. Boykins, I had a terrible day today, I'm stressed out and I can't come to band practice, I say, okay, take it easy. I'm gonna call you later just to see if you okay and see if you ate. And I don't argue. I don't say, well, why do you have a mental break? It's not my business. If they want to tell me, they'll tell me, but I believe in those days. Now I also had a student that said that one time before, and then we saw him online. He was like, Ms. Boykins, what we gonna do? What we do? You gonna get him? You put him out of bed. I said, I ain't gotta do nothing. Watch the camera. Car broke down on the way back. Had 2 flat tires and couldn't get back for real, and ain't had the money to get them fixed. Ain't no student want to give him no money. Somebody went and picked him up, but he had to call his mama to get that, because he wasn't supposed to go out of town. So I said, I told y'all, karma gonna come instantly when you do something wrong, when it comes to something that I told you to do. So I don't worry about them when they tell me they need a mental health. I believe in giving it to them. I don't argue with them. Who am I to say you lying?
Yeah.
who am I don't know. It could be something as simple. I've had days where I just feel like crying and I don't even know the reason why I want to cry. But they have those days. I just let them have them.
Yeah.
Does it mess with my rehearsal? No.
All of us have had those campus experiences where we had roommates or had people that we knew that something happened and they never came back. And I often wonder about some of those people, how did they turn out? Because, and really bright, and it's a thin line between, sane and insanity or mental health, taking you over the edge. So I thought what you did was so important. I'm sure a lot of other college professors do the same, but what we know about is what you do. And I think you did that same thing sort of at Norcom, is why the band was Brusolized like it did, was actually a 100 member band.
Versatile 100, yes, indeed.
It was actually that many, now we say versatile 100 and 30, but it was different when you were there. And I think it's all because of a lot of the things you brought to it. And I think you also brought that motherhood in there. And I wanted to ask you, at those games, watching your son, how did you deal with that out on the football field, getting hit or hitting? Because sometimes I would look over there at you and you would, I guess that was an experience as well.
Oh no, I was one of those parents that I had to remember that high school got different rules from Little League. Little League, I say, Allie, you better hit somebody. I'm that parent. You better hit somebody. I want him to hit somebody. I don't care who he hit. Ref better get out the way before he gets tackled.
And Juliet, how old was Marie when Marie started marching with the band? I remember her little thing out there.
She was in the 3rd grade.
I thought it was the 3rd.
Now that was funny how that happened, because I was in rehearsal and the dance coordinator, Miss Darden's niece, came. She said, Miss Boykins, you got to come over here. You got to see Marie dance. I was like, I'm not going to watch her dance on this. She need to get off that stage. You got her up there on the stage. She cannot do that dance. That dance too hard for her. They said, no, she just caught on in less than 20 minutes. I was like, I'm not going over there. She can't do that dance. They was like, for real. I was like, y'all just make me sick. I went over there and I was like, oh my God, she's doing the dance. So that's how that happened. So now she auditioned for the dance team here. That was funny how that happened also. She was not planning on auditioning. She was sitting in there and she said, should I audition? I was like, it's on you. If you want to, you better do it today because it's audition day. Now it's 11 o'clock. They're auditioning at 12. They came in at 9-10 to learn the dance that they were going to do at 12. So they had 2 hours to learn it. It's 11 o'clock. She come upstairs. She said, Ma, I think I want to do it. And it was 11:15. I was like, okay. She went back. I said, do you know the dance? No, I was watching them though. I think I can do it. 11:15. 11:45, they go get dressed and stuff. She done learned the dance from 11:15 to 11:45. Now I didn't go down there because I didn't want to see what was gonna happen. I said, I don't know if let's see how many times she mess up. I know she got technique, but we want to see how fast the ladies catch on to dances for a collegiate team. So I go out there and I remember the assistant director was sitting there. He said, oh, this is about to be funny. Marie going to get up there and dance. I was like, yeah, because he didn't know she could dance. So she thought, he was like, wait a minute, she can dance for real? And so she learned to dance, auditioned, made the squad, and did phenomenal. And I was like, I was a little bit, poking my chest out a little bit, but I was like, you the band director, you can't do it. And I was like, no, she's still my daughter. I can do it. It doesn't matter. So, yeah.
And so you said she's playing in the band now. Am I correct?
Yes, she plays trombone during the spring semester. So for basketball season, she played trombone. She went with us to CIAA. She just transferred here in January. Her and 2 of her friends transferred here with her. They all came from VCU.
Okay.
So,
were they basketball players? All of them?
No, Marie was the basketball player.
But
so she playing basketball at ECU?
She was, but we had a talk, and I want her to follow where her passion is and not what she's just trying to, get a scholarship in. I said, don't worry about if a scholarship, we'll get you money for school. So I want her to follow her passion, and she followed her passion, which would be she's gonna dance.
Okay, all right.
And I think she just liked being around me.
You know that. as you look like your mother every day now, Miss Gainey.
I see it. I see that a lot now.
I'm telling you, I'm looking at you now and I said, God, that's Miss Gainey sitting across from me.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Yes, indeed. Colonel, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, so your daughter's majoring in dance now. Is that what you said?
No, she's actually a biology major with a concentration in dentistry.
Perfect. Yes.
But she is in the band, and she's dancing on my dance team.
Okay, that is good. A future dentist in the family.
Yeah, so if anybody know how to get in contact with the dentist in Portsmouth Holly, I'm trying to get in contact with her, but I keep missing her because when she's open, I'm usually here at work and don't have time to call, because my daughter would like to do some kind of internship and she's looking for a Black dentist to do it under.
Well, I'm sure there are a number of people online. So I'm sure that there's someone there online who's going to get you in contact with the mayor is on there, his wife is on there, and as well as a host of the Norcom family. They're online right now, and I'm sure someone will be able to make that contact for you.
Good. I would love to have that contact for her.
I even saw Aaron Carter up there, who was a great supporter or member of IC Norcom Band and Norfolk State Spartan Legion.
That's my Aaron right there.
Yeah, even after she left, she was coming back to Norcom and you know, supporting, you know, the band as well as Norfolk State. That's your aspirations at Elizabeth City as far as the band is concerned. I know the CIAA is highly competitive as far as the bands are concerned, and
no, it's
it used to be. It used to be.
Not for me.
It used to be.
It used to be.
No, I just like to always assume that I'm on top. I told you I'm competitive. That's my competitive side.
Yes.
That's the competitiveness I was talking about. You know, that kind of competitive.
I don't have to compete with anyone.
Oh, okay.
We compete against ourselves. We don't compete against other bands.
Well, that's a good philosophy. So you don't have to worry about what the other band is going to do. Just go out there and do your thing and shine. Oh, okay, well, that's my question right out the window. Anybody else?
I do have a question for you.
I have to agree with that, Juliet. You're absolutely correct.
I never want my kids to feel intimidated by another band. So we only compete with ourselves, and we just try to be a better version of ourselves than we were yesterday. You know, I know that's kind of a what do you call it, cliche, but that's what I want them to do.
Yes, Colonel.
Yeah, this is a question that's a little bit far off though, but I'm going back to the history of the college system in North Carolina. And I know you're working on your doctorate and you're going to complete it within a year or two from here. But when do you have to apply for tenure? And will you have any the problems from the Confederates? You shouldn't have problems from the Confederates because you're at a HBCU school. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Yes, that is good. So when's tenure coming?
Being a band director, that's a little different because, you know, we're not really up for tenure until we got to take a different route. So it's kind of tricky with tenure because some of my funds come from student affairs and some come from academic affairs. And so we just have to see. But I'm going to start as soon as I get this doctoral degree. That's my plan. I'm going to at least appeal it to see what I need to do.
Yeah, lock it down.
Yeah.
What Juliet, you know, okay, go ahead, Colonel. Go ahead.
So the association with University of North Carolina doesn't have anything, it wouldn't affect your tenure at Elizabeth City. You know, you wouldn't have to meet their standards as far as that goes.
All of us have the same standards.
Okay.
Under the UNC system, we all have the same standards.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Juliet, you know, back in the day when you were the band director at Norcom, you had a lot of feeder schools where the kids in middle school were taking band. But it seems to be now that the kids are not taking band like they did in previous years. What do you think we can do to encourage the students to get involved and to be a part of the music department within the middle schools?
Would you believe they weren't in middle school when I was there? Neither?
They weren't there then.
No. What I remember, I told you that I
That's right,
created
because you
a
brought them
general
in,
music,
you
right?
brought them in who didn't know how to play and taught them how to play.
Right. I created,
Okay.
I gave up a lot of summers. I didn't have summer vacation a lot. My summers were up there for anyone who wanted to learn to play an instrument. I was there. Yeah, it wasn't there then. How can we change that? They have to come to some free games. These high schools are gonna have to start allowing, and I'm not saying they don't do it now. I don't know if they do it, but they're gonna have to have like a middle school day where students can come and just be a part of the band there. When I go visit a lot of these schools, especially in Georgia, they do that a lot. They'll have a middle school day or a high school day where the middle schoolers can come and sit with the band students in there and play at a game. Now, do they know all the music? Probably not. Are they gonna play everything? No, but they're gonna yell, they're gonna cheer, they just gonna be happy to be there.
And it's encouragement. It's encouragement for those students.
Right. They do it in Georgia. They also do it for the basketball games as well. So, you know, it's just something fun for them to do, but we have to, everything can't be about money. And so we're gonna have to give up some seats to make some lasting memories and create that easy recruitment. So,
yeah.
James? But you know, statistically, I know you work on your doctorate, and then there's a stat that says those who are musically inclined or in music, they do better academically and also in their social and culturally, they do much better. And so that in itself, if you're living in a society that believes in data and science and not what the Confederates want to do now, is we should be encouraging folks to do, or the kid, or the next generation to be in the arts. Am I correct?
Correct. Do you know my goal used to be, I wanted to be the music supervisor, and in being a music supervisor, that was one of the things that I always wondered, why do I not hear any music supervisors from any district say, hey, these are the stats right here that these kids, if they're in music, because now they push strings, but they're not pushing like anything else. They push strings in every school, but strings aren't the only thing that's gonna, you know, increase their scores, increase their love for something. I think that I just feel like if we put music back where it belonged and on the forefront. Remember when I said there used to be three things? Everybody's band was big when we had three things.
That's right.
They had three things to choose from in middle school, but now it's middle schoolers, and I'm not knocking this when I say it. I don't want anybody to come for me when I say this, but now we have it where everything's academics, and I get it, but when do they get to be kids? When do they get to have fun? You're putting middle school 7th graders on a college track. They're taking TCC classes. I get it, but when do they get to be kids? Why are we rushing them to not be kids anymore?
Well, you know what? You might have hit it on the head. I think a lot of problems started when when America passed the Leave All the Children's Behind Act back in the day, and pushing for standardized testing.
That's right.
And, we got rid of critical thinking. We don't do that in that, but we teach for a test. And if you can regurgitate stuff, you do well as far as standardized testing and moving throughout this educational system in this world. And then suffering from that, we took away the arts and science, you know, the arts, and that was relegated into second string, to use a musical analogy there. And that has been a problem. And until we get leaders in our country that will realize we made a mistake, and we just can't keep throwing money in education, but we need to get back to have a different way of looking at education. We're always going to have this problem that we're just talking about now.
Right.
Well, Juliet, it seems here that Aaron N. Carter says that they should hire Boykins as the citywide music director. Let's get her back to Virginia. Fernita Rollins Duck says, yes, Aaron, I agree. And Rhonda Pebbles Griffin says, I agree totally with Aaron. It looks like they're starting a campaign to bring you back home, girl.
Well, I tell you, and I say this all the time. If I ever got the opportunity, like if that was ever offered to me, I would leave here today. And that's because I would love to be, that was my dream job. Like that was all, growing up, that was all I ever wanted to do. Like, that was my dream job.
It looks like we got a little campaign going on here on this Facebook page. So hey, from their lips and from their writings to God's ear then, okay? Because the thing about
I receive it. I receive it.
You engage the children, you discipline the children, but yet and still you show that motherly love to the children. And that's what made your band so great. Because I mean, I go back and look at some of the things that some of your band members have written. You had a major impact on their lives. And that's what we have to do. It's not just about teaching the class. Yeah, you have to teach the class, but you have to do a little more than teach the class. You have to give of yourself to the children. And when you give of yourself, then the children will give back to you. And that's what you did when you were band director. And I applaud you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you know when you said that I discipline the children, it took me back to, I'm trying not to say names, or I'm gonna say this as best I can. It took me back to a time where I was sitting in Miss Brawley's office because someone told her that I was too militant as a band director, because when I stand on the podium, my students automatically stop talking. And Miss Brawley looked at me, and I looked at her. I felt like we were doing the, what's his name? Charlie Wilson. He looked at me and I looked at her. I felt like we was doing that, but Miss Brawley couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And Miss Brawley was like, oh, I'm not addressing that. No. It was very interesting that I was told that I'm too militant when it comes to my students, because they should be allowed to be students. And if they're still talking and finishing a conversation when someone stands on the podium, that's okay. I said, what college band are they going to? And they're going to still talk when there's a director on that podium. So I appreciate the discipline. When you say that they were disciplined, I appreciate that, because that wasn't going to break me, but I think someone tried to break me. I'm not broken very easily. Yeah. But I think someone tried to break me by saying that. So yeah.
And your band members didn't roam around going to the restrooms and to the fields without having an adult with them at all times.
Right.
So you protected them as well.
Yes. I believe in that, because I tell them I got to treat them like they mine.
Exactly.
But that same leadership skill that you just taught, that lesson, that they need to be quiet when you're standing on there, it also equates or equalize out to the boardroom and when you're out here in society. And so that it's not in band. That's a piece that bleeds over to society. You just can't, there are certain norms that have to be taught, and that's what you're teaching. And so some folks just don't get it.
Right. I love to visit band rooms, and it's always interesting if I visit a band room and I'm watching the director on the podium and students are just talking. And I've had band directors in this area ask, well, how do you do that? Because I stand on the podium. I'm not going to say a word. I'm not going to tell them to be quiet. I'm just going to stand there. I'm going to look at my watch.
Yep.
They'll be quiet. And then they say, well, so I think the last time we went to a school that was local, the little girl asked me, why did you just stand there and not tell us to be quiet? We was waiting. I said, I was waiting on you. I didn't want to be rude, because you saw me standing here and you heard your teacher invite me to stand here and you continued to talk. So it would have been rude of me to talk over you. And they was like, oh, she said, and somebody was like, embarrassing.
And, they say snap.
Well, Juliet,
Right.
Juliet, stay your course. I had an orchestra director that was the sweetest lady. Her name was Miss Chapman, and she had certain looks. We knew when she was in one mood, and we knew when she was really serious. And she was just like you. Once she stood up there, everything, even in practice, we'd be there and everybody's talking their thing. Once she came there and stood in front of us, everything was quiet and disciplined. I wanted to say this: being in the music department office itself offers a lot of other opportunities. We know the story about the Commodores at Tuskegee. You know, that's where they started their musical career, and then you have Rogers Brown over at Norfolk State, giving all these opportunities with his bands and things like that. Is there anything like that going on at Elizabeth City that might lend opportunities to students that might want to venture into jazz or other genres of music?
We have a lot of
outside of
well, we have a lot of good things happening. Like we have this group. Well, first of all, we changed sound recording and business, music business to just music producing. And so that's creating a lot of buzz out here. We have a very, 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 very nice music studio. Right now, the music studio has like about $5 million worth of equipment in there. Top of the line music studio. So we have a group to be in that major. You don't have to be a marching band or a concert band. You have to be in this group called Popular Ensemble. And with Popular Ensemble, we take small groups from that and put them out in the community so they could, you know, be seen. We have Vike Soul, a lot of there, and Check the Resume. So those are two of the groups that come up out of that class. But I don't know, it's just so many opportunities here because it's a small town. They love music. So I don't know, it's a lot. I don't know.
Good opportunities.
Yeah, great opportunities here.
Especially in producing, because a lot of times that's where the money is really. If you're a producer, that's where the demands and the money is, being able to produce, you know, beyond your musical career. But you have to have that base of music in order to be a good producer as well.
And I would be remiss if I forget to say this. So we also have a group here called WAVE. It's called We Are the Voice, and it's a producer group. One of the students came up with an idea, and so I decided to be their advisor. My only thing about being their advisor, I said, I'll be your advisor, but if you all gonna call yourself a producer group, every year you have to create an album. So today we had a jam session for an arts festival, and they had the opportunity to let some people hear their samples of their music. So they have an album coming out at the end of the year. We just did a photo shoot for the album. So I'm excited about that. Because I don't know. First of all, the guy that created it, I told him I'm going to be looking at him some years from now, and he's going to be the biggest producer out here. He has very good stuff. So I'm excited about that group as well.
Yeah, let us know about that album so we can, one thing, purchase it, and we can spread the word about it.
I certainly will.
So we're winding down to about an hour, and we like to keep it there. But before any last statements, I have to mention this because there's two ladies up here on the screen right now that when I was going through my situation with my heart, waiting for a heart, and was in the hospital for a long time, one of the greatest experiences I had while I was in the hospital was to have a few of the Norcom basketball players come to the hospital room, and these two ladies were responsible for that. I know, Julie, I know you called the coach because he told me.
He did.
And said, you know, you got an ex-player over there, you know, waiting on the heart. Why don't you take a few players? And the main thing, he brought bench players.
He did.
What guys that were on the bench that understood me. But anyway, and how important the bench players were, but that wasn't the most thing. The most thing was having, you know, how I feel about Norcom and the pride I had in wearing that uniform and having those players come over there. And they actually sat down and let me open my yearbook and tell my
stories
about my career. And they sat there attentively, and we had a good time, and I'll never ever forget that moment. That was a special moment for me, especially coming from, you know, the IC Norcom players, and you two ladies were responsible for that, and I will never forget that. You know, love you both, and I appreciate that.
We love you too.
Thanks.
And you've given so much to the community, Slim. There was nothing else that we could do but to be there for you. I mean, you've been given to the community for such a long time, and so we definitely appreciate you very much. And I want to say one thing now as we begin to wind down. Slim is talking about us doing some remote shows. So maybe when you're having one of your shows down there in Elizabeth City, we can come down to Elizabeth City and we can highlight it on Portsmouth Coffee Talk Evening Edition. I think that
Sounds
would be
good.
nice. We can see you in your element and see what you're doing down there at Elizabeth City State University.
Sounds good.
I would like to go to a game when they're playing VUU. So
And I think we have them. Is it away this year? That's an away game this year.
I think it's away. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's away this year, last year. But anyway, we still could come down there and film something else. And going forward, we're planning on featuring a lot of the local HBCUs. We have representatives, Colonel HU. He says the real HU, Hampton University, and Norfolk State, and Elizabeth City, and Virginia State. So look forward to us featuring those universities and giving attention to all of them that are out there doing what they do, and for our community and more. So
we're going last thing, Slim, before we go out, and Juliet, what words of encouragement would you give to a young person as to the reasons why they should select Elizabeth City University as one of the schools for them to attend as they prepare to graduate from high school?
If they looking for a school that's family oriented, we're the school. A nice family, small. We're small, but we ain't gonna stay small. We're small now. Rebuilding, family oriented, and if you're looking for a place that's affordable, we're affordable. Right now for out of state, the tuition is $2,500 for tuition. With room and board, you add that in, you'll come somewhere in around $17,000, $18,000, which is still cheaper than any in-state Virginia school. So if you're looking for somewhere that's family oriented and attainable with your finances, then we're the school to be. And then if you're looking for a band program where you're gonna be the most popular people on campus, then this is also a school to be.
and for your band, do you have any scholarships available for the students coming out?
I do. The requirement for scholarships, if you play a wind instrument, is scales, chromatic scale, prepared piece, and I'll do a sight reading piece with you. For percussion, it's rudiments, and you also have to play a prepared piece if you're looking to do more than just marching band, but you also want to do concert band. You have to also do mallet percussion as well. For dancer and color guard, I'm trying to think while we're talking. For dance and color guard, we have auditions. You can send an audition video if you're unable to actually make it here for the audition dates. The 2nd April audition date has changed because we had something that came up that we have to do. But the May one is May 14th, and we know that that may interfere with some proms. So we're also going to do a virtual to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to still audition.
Okay, so small campus, family oriented, as well as they have scholarship money if you're interested in participating in the band, playing an instrument, or as a dance girl. So there's an opportunity for some of you out there who are getting ready to graduate and you haven't yet decided where you want to go to school. You can, of course, contact Miss Juliet Boykins, and she can guide you as to what you need to do in order to get into Elizabeth City State University. Elizabeth City State University, I'm right. So thank you, Juliet. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I've always just applauded you for so long for the great works that you do, and you're continuing to do a great work, and especially for our children. So I just want to say thank you so very much for all that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Colonel?
I appreciate it. This was nice and fun. Thank you all for having me.
Yes, and I like to echo what Leah said, and just keep doing what you're doing. First, get that doctorate though, because that's
absolutely.
Yes, get that doctorate and finish up, and then also publish.
And look, I hope I'm not, you said 1.5 to 2 years. I hope I'm done by December.
All right. Now.
I am in the middle of writing now. I am in the process of writing
right now. You're in the writing stage. Yeah,
I'm in the writing
That's
stage.
The end.
So 22, you'll be walking through.
Yes.
Before you go, who is the president of Elizabeth City State University?
Our chancellor is Carrie Dixon, the best chancellor ever. since she's been here. It's just the morale that she brings. She supports, you think I support the students. She's gonna be there. She tiny, she about 5 foot even. That might be with heels on, but the kids love her. She is just a beautiful soul inside and out. So we have the best chancellor ever. And I'm not just saying it this time. You know how I felt about Lynn Briley?
Yes, indeed.
That's how I feel about her as well. So I feel about the chancellor that we have now, just like I felt about Lynn Briley. So
Wonderful. But she's got to be a magnificent person.
oh, she is. She is.
That's
You
for
would love
sure.
her.
I'm coming down to meet her because
You
I
would
may
love
have
her.
some children who may be interested in Elizabeth City State University. So I need to come down to meet her and to see you in action as well.
And when I tell you, she's going to make herself so available. So sometimes when parents say that they want to come down to be on campus, say, I want to meet the chancellor, she's going to meet you. She has kids of her own. So she's very motherly. And that's what makes her special to the students, because she's going to support what they do. They're able to be kids. She understands that sometimes a bad word may slip out, and she doesn't chastise them for that. She look at them and say, all right now, and they know, okay, let me not say that no more. But she's not going to chastise them because they college students, and she knows that.
That's good. That's good.
And for those of you that are watching, that may be a member of the Elizabeth City State University Alumni Association here in Hampton Roads, please contact us, because we're planning on featuring the alumni of all these universities as well. So contact us so we can figure out whether a time to have you on to talk about your university.
Exactly.
And the fundraising activities that you might be planning. So that's it. Thank you. And Juliet, I know you, I don't know, are you in North Carolina? Well, anyway.
Yeah, I'm in my office
trip.
now.
So it's calm here. It sounds calm from where I am. I don't know what's going on there, but
oh, it's raining hard here. It's raining hard, thundering and lightning. I won't, by the time I leave, it'll be stopped.
Oh,
I gotta write at least 2 hours before I leave.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I know you said you do most of your work there. You don't take it home.
Right. I do not take work home.
Yes, home is for family.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
But my family is here now, so I don't know.
You're right about that. I was going to say, the majority of your family members are.
The only person home is my husband.
That's right.
Got to get Carol up there.
Right.
Next thing you know, he'll be on the foot. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. And thanks everybody for watching Portsmouth Coffee Talks Evening Edition. And please join us this Monday. I don't know if we have a guest scheduled yet, but we will. But join us this Monday at 6:30, because we're still doing that. And next week, Leah, we already have
NSU, behold the green and gold. It will be in the house next week. So we're ready for that.
Now, I'm still a Norfolk State supporter. That's still my alumni. I graduated there twice.
we got three Norfolk State people right here, and we're ready. We're ready for Norfolk State to come on next week.
Awesome.
I was ready to do something.
James is trying his
Oh, that's okay.
It's not working.
No, that's all right. I was going to put a panther up there, but we'll do that next time.
Okay. Juliet, thank you so very much once again. Thank you so very much.
All right. Thank you all. Y'all have a great evening.
And I want to tell you, Lynn Browley was on listening to you as well. So
good.
Yes, Miss Browley was online.
She's forever my favorite principal.
All right now. And my favorite classmate. How about that? Always.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, James.
Take care, Marie.
Portsmouth Coffee Talk, James. Portsmouth Coffee Talk, James.
Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice,
our community,
in our future.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
God bless you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Juliet.
Thank you for having me. Y'all have a great one. Bye-bye.